Good afternoon, and thank you, Betsy, and Linda, thank you. I've been quiet for 2 days, not said a word other than hello and shook a few hands. But let me start this afternoon by saying for this event, this 2 days, I award 5 stars and a 10-plus score. It has been powerful, useful, stimulating, and directional. 5 stars, 10 plus is what I give it. Let me thank all of those who made this possible, the Committee on Human Rights, NAE, the participants, all of you, the communications staff, the support staff, the food service, all work together to make this a true success. My thank you is for your time, your thoughts, your creativity, your vision, and your commitment to do things that are both great and good. I appreciate the fact that you were willing to walk into the unknown. This has not been done before. And you did this, you walked into that unknown without fear. Tremendous strength from my perspective of what goes on in engineering and human rights and what's so foundational to us as humans. So the intersection of engineering and human rights. Our purpose, summarized Wes Harris's form, was to explore, to define a more useful and inclusive path forward for what we do, what we humans do. We create. We create. That's what we do. That's what distinguishes us from all other organisms, the scale upon which we create. So this intersection has many dimensions. I finally decided it was a vector. It had both direction and magnitude. And I tried to listen carefully, to learn from you, to pick out those pieces that gave us direction and gave us magnitude that really presented the intersection as a reality, as a vector. That intersection has been described various ways. The result of a process and a product, even engineering and human. I have usefulness and inclusiveness here, but human rights is what I really want to say. And one of the charts really struck me when there was a time element, allowing us to think about the past and the future. And I want to say a bit more about that as we go forward. We received definitions of human rights, operational definitions, in fact, legal terms, international principles, but it all led to me to identify human rights as the process to create. And to do that, we need transportation, water, food, education, health, safety, housing, and we need it in a way that we can optimize, we can reduce the greatest amount of success. So therefore, the equity piece is critically important, and that was brought out time and time again. We received definitions of engineering as well, and I like to call it, or identified it, as the process by which our creations are realized. But when you think about engineering, and it's not like oxygen, it's not like nitrogen, it doesn't float through the air. It's not like cotton grown in Georgia. Engineering is a process by which we as humans developed. We developed engineering. It did not exist before humans. Engineering is ours. It is therefore our responsibility to nurture it, to develop it, to continue to make it more robust. And when you ask for the intersection of engineering with human rights, and we want to go forward, not backwards, we know we want to work together to make it robust, more robust, more robust. We know that we came to this meeting with a need to make a better world. That's why we're here, to make a better world. Okay? We know we're good at creating. We know we want to be better. We know we have to be better. Engineering is that tool, that process by which we can do that. We were presented to 7 informative panels. We reviewed or discussed the salient characteristics of the intersection of engineering and human rights, the societal challenges, the actual size and magnitude of the intersection. We had a very stimulating presentation on engineering, human rights, from an educational perspective, actual course material taught at our universities. In that presentation, we reviewed the foundational elements of where we are now and our future. We discussed the why of the intersection, the how of the intersection, the existential issues and questions related to being a steward of this intersection. Bernard Amati gave us a very passionate presentation indicating not so much a need for PhDs, but a need to have a fire in our belly to make this a better world. You understand that humans, those of us who actually, long before us, not in this room, brought this process called engineering to us, how to make it better, and how the two, when combined, can in fact lead to a better world. Dan also was the first that, as far as I'm concerned, that made me aware of the importance of history, this time going back and forward, and that they are perhaps intersected as much as engineering and human rights. He mentioned the rapid change and the tools of engineering. And we had a presentation this afternoon on some of those, evolution of some of those tools, AI, neural nets, machine learning, large language. What are we to do about this rapid, ever-increasing development of tools? How do we better manage that? How do we encourage it and manage it at the same time? We also had a presentation on the climate justice. And for me, the presentation clearly identified climate as a source of all wealth. Okay? And if we aren't careful, it will be our poverty. But clearly, climate is important. And once you say climate, you say water, you say food. It's all connected. So the climate issue was clearly important in understanding the intersection of engineering with human rights. We were presented with inequalities in the public infrastructure. We were treated to and detailed to one particular example of human rights and what it means to engage engineering in that process to make a better world, namely that of disabilities. it was driven home to me, paying careful attention to the exercise following the presentation by the panel. So when I got there, though, I was thinking of Yogi Berra. You know, Yogi said when you reach a fork in the road, take it. So what's the fork in the road? And what are we taking? Are we going to say that the fork in the road maybe is modeled by the actual position of human resources, the things that make us creative? Is that fork in the road the point where we have human rights? And what vector are we changing? Up, down, left, right? How do we really understand where we are today and what options we have in order to go forward? We had 3 other presentations from panelists: the participation and inclusion in engineering, leading to decision making, justice and human rights, harm, how do we address that? Human rights principles in systems engineering, which my colleague Amy Smith really, I thought, was very, very stimulating, with a full presentation, as far as I'm concerned, on what it means to be engaged with design, the heart and blood of engineering, which can and does feed human rights. So the magnitude and direction of this intersection, that vector, can change and will change. And for us, it must be a win-win. It must provide more opportunities, not fewer. And I say that without mentioning inequalities, because I think for all of us here, we know that if there are inequalities in one area, there will be inequalities in the other. Now, we learned that recently, COVID-19. If my neighbor is sick, most likely I was going to be sick. So we had to get everyone well. So what are the takeaways? We've been treated to a 5-star, 10+ opportunity. For me, the takeaways are as follows. Number 1, the intersection of engineering and human rights is real. We humans can, I didn't say may, but can redirect engineering to improve itself and to advance human rights. Third, history is important. Data, whether you're going to use it for machine learning or AI or neural nets, we need to better understand what engineering has been, what human rights has been, and what, therefore, it can be. The conversation was so rich and very deep and broad that I have to mention the fact, for me anyway, that the complexity of the opportunity is large. It's multi-layered, it's nested. It's not going to be easy to discern where to approach the advancement, filling out this intersection to greater magnitude. There are legal questions, there are social questions, economic questions. There are technical tools involved. There's things like compassion. You remember Bernard used that word, compassion. All of that's a part of getting on with making this a better world. My simple-minded way of looking at where we are, I will say this. Another takeaway. We need a champion. There must be actions coming out of this 2 days. It must be structured. Okay. It may be champions, but we need to not just go away and get our shot of Glenn Levitt and be happy. No, this is real. We do need a champion. Humans create, and last, humans created engineering. This is ours, folks. This is ours. We can make it more robust. We can make the intersection with human rights fuller, stronger. We can make a better world. So next steps, let's get a champion. Thank you for the 5 stars and the 10++, and enjoy the Thanksgiving holidays.